installation here. Lately I've been studying Jung a lot. The most recent thing I've been reading is this book, Modern Man in Search of a Soul. And it's really interesting to me. It details a lot with dream analysis, with his differences to Freud and his approach to psychoanalysis. And I thought reading this was so interesting to me that I would dedicate my first installation project to Jung. For me, what I did in the process is I went to Lowe's and I purchased all these materials for about $25, so it wasn't extremely expensive to do. What it involved, these are actually used to, when you're doing construction and you're nailing 2x4s together, you'll actually, I guess, nail, and I've never done it, so it's just my interpretation of it, but you'll nail part of it into one 2x4, and then you'll nail the other half into another 2x4, and it'll hold them together. This is some multi-just purpose wire, fairly thin gauge wire, and then these are kind of like the stick-on mailbox letters that you put up. And so for me, it was interesting working with metal and sort of different types of metal, the different tensile qualities of the flat steel versus the wire. And for me, before I came to St. Edward's and started the photo communication program here, I was studied for a couple of years, more along the lines of visual communications and graphic design. Got me really interested in typography. One of the people I studied, his name's Steven Sagmeister. I actually got to see him over the summer to give a lecture, and it was really amazing to me. One of his books, his most famous one, is called Things I've Learned in My Life So Far. And what he does is he uses really interesting uses of typography. And so I was kind of mirroring that a little bit, but more with the idea of Jung, what he represents, things along the lines of this collective unconscious and the idea of archetypes, archetypal projection, things like that. It was a way for me to look at the disunity of how things are spaced and how everything sort of represents itself. For me, I probably spent about 3 to 4 hours assembling this, and then it took me probably about half an hour to actually put it up here. The reason why I chose this location is because I looked around, and one thing that Jung talks about is the collective unconscious, and in mythology and through human history that's summarized a lot by the use of waters or caves and things like that. And for me, I saw this, the big gas tank, the use of a big water collection or liquid collection thing, and that really resonated with me with the idea of the collective subconscious, or collective unconscious, I should say, and particularly with the idea of the fuel pumps being representative of the conscious mind, in that the conscious mind is kind of like the funnel of the unconscious, but it's so minute in comparison to the gravity and the expansion of the unconscious. And the idea of gasoline or fuel also appealed to me in sort of representing the idea that our unconscious is really what sparks us or fuels us in our conscious endeavors a lot of times. And so, as a first installation project, I don't think this was extremely technically challenging in terms of its assembly, its installation, etc. But the meaning for me was very important, and it was a way for me to also draw upon my previous roots doing graphic design, typography work, etc. And so it was a really great experience.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. And, you know, when you talk about this, you know, in the context of it and why you chose this, it all totally makes sense. It really does. And I think we just walked up here and was like, oh, that's really kind of cool. But, you know, what you're thinking about and your concepts behind this are important. I think the thing is to figure out, if we get to talk here, figure out how you can make that part of your pieces, your photographic or whatever you're doing. Because I think you're when you write, you know, the responses that I get from you are really articulate, really detailed, really depth. So I think bringing that skill that you've got, that ability that you've got into your work, like before your work is so important.
Absolutely.
Cool. You guys have questions?
Did you put that flag there?
No, that was actually already there. Although
Oh,
I
I was
do like
wondering.
it as
That's good though.
an aesthetic tip. I also like the self-serve.
Self-serve, yeah.
I really like that. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
because Jung, how he approaches things and his difference with Freud, and one of the main differences, Freud says there's very specific formulas to treat people, to go about explaining things. Jung says it's more of a touch and go kind of basis. Everybody's different. What works for one person doesn't work for another person. And he was one of the first people to actually introduce the idea of art therapy, where he would take his patients and who have no art training or whatever experience whatever, and give them a blank canvas and some paint and say, paint it, you know, and we'll talk about it from there. So his idea of being involved with art therapy and the
You know, it's another tool to tap into the unconscious. You don't have to have like techniques at all. Like I'm trying to do equine therapy. Uses horses the same way that people know nothing about how to work with horses, but it brings out all this stuff. So you know, it's another avenue in. And Jung is, you know, it's great insight that he had. Okay, well we need to go. So we've got lots of stuff to look at, a lot of walking to do. That's a great one. Love it. Those are cool too. And you, yeah, that is how those are used. But you know, they look great. They are.
So mine's right there.
We want to go up this way? We're following you.